Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. I have two stories to share with you in this very latest Moon Lambo Hot Jam. I'll start with this one, a quick legal update in the SEC v. Ripple case from the Crypto Basic. Top lawyer says recent court order in Ripple case shows it's game over for the SEC. And then there's this one, which I rather enjoyed, and I'm confident that you will as well, also from the Crypto Basic. Expert explains how Judge Torres unintentionally gave XRP community a weapon against Bitcoin maxis. And this goes on to highlight a little bit of a back and forth between a Bitcoin maximalist who just spouts all sorts of nonsense and things that I have a hard time believing. He actually believes between that guy and attorney Bill Morgan, who just completely destroys him. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, and so some of the latest news actually started yesterday. I had limited time on YouTube yesterday, so I just wanted to quickly highlight this. You may have heard this news by now. But here you can see the most recent document as signed by Judge Annalisa Torres, laying out the schedule. And they noted here, the next date of note would be, here we go, February 12th, 2024. The party shall complete remedies related discovery, and the rest is on the screen there. Now, in reality, this case, as we well know to this point, it's over, which is why it's so fascinating that some of the Bitcoin maxis out there, they just cling to this false narrative that XRP is not all in the clear, or the SEC is somehow going to come out on top with this thing, which it's a virtual certainty. It is like 99.999% repeating certain that we won. Like, it's everything. I can't imagine what could possibly unfold that would flip that perspective here. And so you have this headline here from the Crypto Basic. Top lawyer says recent court order in Ripple case shows it's game over for the SEC. And they're covering perspective from attorney Fred Rispoli, who wrote the following. And so this was after the news broke about the most recent developments regarding the timeline for this. And if we're just being real, and especially when you consider changing leadership, like, this is done here. Do you think Gensler's going to be running the SEC for much longer? Probably not. Anyway, here's what attorney Rispoli said. Hashtag SEC versus Ripple. The remedies related discovery schedule is set. There is no chance a Second Circuit ruling on an appeal by either party, if one is ever filed, is issued before mid-2026. Think of everything that will happen between now and then. Game over, SEC. You lost. Hashtag XRP community. Yeah, and that's most certainly true. And we don't even know what administration is going to be in charge, when you get to that particular point in time. And then an XRP community member named Views on XRPL wrote the following, and he actually has an opinion which I don't think is broadly held within the XRP community, and so I just respectfully disagree, but it's an interesting point of discussion, so it's perfectly fine. I don't need people to agree with me for me to like and respect them, certainly. You'd have to be a tribal child to have that. You'd have to be a Bitcoin maximalist to think that that's the right way to approach life. But he tagged attorney Rispoli and he said, I personally think they won. Their main goal was to slow Ripple down. They did that. The result of whether XRP was sold as a security or not holds less weight than the fact that this whole case has held back adoption from all, but I also get what you're saying. And so, look, I mean, there's the part where the concept where I certainly could have some sort of overlap with this particular person is the idea that, like, the process is the punishment. If you've heard stuff like that stated, I think even Brad Garlinghouse has said something along those lines before. It's just the process of going through the lawsuit, that is the punishment, effectively, right? But in terms of XRP being slowed down, well, yeah, in terms of developer activity, it has to have been harmed to some degree. Obviously, price action XRP is at a level way lower than it otherwise would be. I think it's fair to surmise that. So I understand that. But what do we mean by one? Because at the heart of this argument was whether or not XRP itself is a security. Let's be real. That was the core issue. The SEC lost. So if you want to talk about damage that was done, and then if you view that as them winning, okay, but that's not what was, that's not what was being considered from a legal perspective. What was being considered from a legal perspective is whether or not XRP itself is a security. And it clearly is not. So I'm not going to dispute that there was certainly damage done. I've been highlighting that. We've all been talking about that literally for years on end. But despite the damage the SEC did, what I'm saying is those little punk-ass bitches lost. Yes, they did. Attorney Rispoli responded to him and said, well, I guess it all depends on what happens from here. You're right that the SEC definitely won, in quotes, in slowing down Ripple. Is the damage permanent? We'll see. Yeah, and so that did slow down Ripple, but only within the United States. We saw that on-demand liquidity utilizing XRP as a bridge currency, that adoption actually exploded. They had found a ton of success in any corridor not that they went after, not touching the United States. Do you remember, wasn't it, I want to say June of 2022, if memory serves, where Ripple reported that ODL transactions were up, what was it, something like 900% year over year? And that's after the lawsuit. Again, if I think I'm right on this. June of 2022, somewhere thereabout. They said over the last year, up about 900%, 800, 900%. So they didn't slow down Ripple outside of the United States because the rest of the world didn't really give a damn, frankly. They destroyed stuff in the United States. Yeah, that's certainly true here. And then there's this. Expert explains how Judge Torres unintentionally gave XRP community a weapon against Bitcoin maxis. Attorney Bill Morgan says Judge Annalisa Torres inadvertently gave the XRP community a weapon against Bitcoin maxis by analyzing the coin under the framework of Howey. Australian-based legal expert Bill Morgan has explained how Judge Annalisa Torres, the judge overseeing the SEC v. Ripple lawsuit, unintentionally gave the XRP community a weapon against Bitcoin maxis and other critics. For context, Judge Torres' ruling in the Ripple case became a topic of discussion over the weekend. In a recent tweet, a Bitcoin maxi named Scam Daddy stated that Judge Torres did not clarify what category of asset XRP falls under. In July, the judge declared that XRP in itself is not a security, as alleged by the SEC. Consequently, Scam Daddy said the judge only declared that XRP is not a security, but failed to mention whether the asset is a commodity or currency. All right, so this Scam Daddy guy, I'm familiar with this guy. What a piece of work. I mean, again, like I've said, I don't need people to agree with me for me to like them or engage with them necessarily. But if I start to get a whiff that people are not operating in good faith, that turns me off. And so a long time ago, he was just, I can't remember when I first, within the last year at some point, maybe it was about a year ago, I had some debates on X with this individual back and forth. And he just kept saying stuff that was provably not the case. Like, and then I'd state, here's the fact. It's something that cannot be, if this part's a fact. And then he just keeps citing over it. And I was like, okay, this guy's not operating in good faith. So eventually, I was like, I'm not going to block the guy, but I am going to mute him because I need less of this particular human in my life. So that's what I did. I just muted the guy because if not operating in good faith, I'm not interested. And then later, there were allegations from reputable sources within our community that this guy was also doing additional shady things. I don't want to get too off the rails here, but in terms of pretending to be somebody else, so like there's an identity issue. And then I was like, you know what, I'm done. I'm blocking. And then I blocked the guy. But he keeps engaging with our community. And so he keeps popping back up in the news here because he just doesn't stop. But he keeps saying all these completely absurd things. So the fun part for us here is that we do have attorneys within our community who absolutely destroy his BS arguments. I'm glad I don't have to do it anymore because I still have him blocked. I'm still like, I get it. Like I'm looking at his stuff still, but I don't have to personally engage. So that's all I'm looking for, is to not personally engage with this human ever again, hopefully. But here was a screen grab, and this was shared by XRP community member Mr. Huber. And here's a screen grab from Scam Daddy, who is a Bitcoin maxi, and he wrote, there is no clarity as to what type of asset XRP is, just what it is not. And that was reposted by attorney Bill Morgan, who wrote, he is wrong. It is clear that Judge Torres treated it as a commodity in the decision on the summary judgment motions. Now, even though, of course, attorney Morgan is correct, Scam Daddy he thinks he's in the right. He has this undeserved confidence, I guess you could say. And so he responded to attorney Morgan and he said, actually quite the opposite. When she deemed Ripple's sales to institutions as unregistered securities, she said, quote, parties did not view the XRP sale as a sale of a commodity, end quote. So there you go. He thinks he's got the slam dunk commodity. Whoa, whoa, whoa. She's not saying that. But this is quite the misunderstanding of what actually went down here. And this is delightful. I like seeing this particular Bitcoin maxi get destroyed. I don't think he's operating in good faith. I really do not. And so here's what Attorney Morgan had to say. And he absolutely lights this guy on fire. Your poor understanding of the case is shown by you highlighting an extract from the case in which Judge Torres was expressing her reasons on why that particular category of sale to institutional buyers were investment contracts. It was the SEC who defined the categories of sales. Yet the judge's view of XRP is not found in her treatment of the three categories of sales. It is found in the two-page section, pages 14 and 15, in which she analyzed the token itself within the framework of Howey. That section on the judgment notably is entitled, quote, A, the XRP token, end quote. In the very first paragraph of her analysis of the XRP token, the judge differentiated the underlying token from the contract, transaction, or scheme by which it is sold, stating that the subject, the thing being sold, is not necessarily a security. That's a quote, not necessarily a security. She then gives a list of tangible and intangible assets and states that in each of the examples, she gives, quote, the subject of the investment contract was a standalone commodity, which was not itself inherently an investment contract, end quote. Did you hear that, folks? Standalone commodity. Attorney Morgan continues. One example she gave of standalone commodities was the Gram digital asset. She later concludes her analysis by stating that XRP, as a digital token, which is another quote, like the Gram, is not itself an investment contract, even though it may be the subject of an investment contract like any other standalone commodities. The judgment did not necessarily need this section on pages 14 through 15. If you took it out, this section, the judgment would stand logically intact. I think she added this analysis of the token because the SEC in this case, as it does in public, avoided clarifying its view on whether the token itself is a security and is deliberately ambiguous. In adding this analysis of the token, the judge inadvertently gave the XRP community a weapon against Bitcoin maxis who say everything but Bitcoin is a security, and an argument against those who want to muddy the waters about the judge's finding on what XRP, those like, well, you. Spot on. I love seeing the guy ripped to shreds. This is absolutely fantastic here. And to this moment, unless I missed it, I don't think that he's responded, the scam daddy guy here. Obviously, he's in the wrong here because facts exist surrounding this case, which are well known and publicly known to this point. I mean, this case has absolutely been dissected. I mean, in Judge Torres' ultimate decision, thoroughly dissected. But somehow, and this is just the other day, this guy comes out swinging as if he thinks he's actually got something. Come on, man. Like, if it were somebody operating in good faith and in the early days trying to get to the truth of the matter with the complexity of the issue and reading through it, like especially in the earliest of hours after the news broke in July, okay, that's one thing. It's November. This guy's absurd. This is a Bitcoin maxi who wants to manipulate people into believing things that clearly aren't true. I am not convinced that this guy believes the things that he's spouting because they're that nonsensical, and even when proven wrong, he will not stop saying them. That is not a good faith actor. He just, plain and simple, absolutely is not, and so he shall remain blocked. And I don't block that many people. Like, if I have blocked you, you done messed up. Because I let people get away with stuff, frankly. Maybe a little bit less than I used to, because I just, like, if somebody's just going to be outright rude, because I don't care if people disagree, that's fine. I like thoughtful discourse. I actually like debate. If people are polite, then I'm down. But, man, if somebody's being rude, at this point, I have less tolerance than I used to. If they're just going to come in outright and just being a complete eggplant emoji to me, then okay. Then fine. But, because do we need that in our lives? Do you feel like you need that in your life if somebody's just being unnecessarily vicious? That's one thing. But outside of that, no, thoughtful discourse, good to go here, man. But this guy, what a piece of work. Scam daddy. So anyway, it's delightful to see. It's just delightful to see that he's been completely ripped to shreds. Well done, Attorney Bill Morgan. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Lambo.